Kwankwasiyya awareness network ne na kowa ku zo ku ji manufa.
Sir, please can you tell us briefly your history politically?
Well, to start with, my name is Tajo Usman, and my political career started when I was in the university, way back in 1975. I was a parliamentarian, at which time Abadabo then was our president. I was representing Ixa Hall at that time as a parliamentarian. That was the beginning of my political career as a student. Way back in secondary school, I was the head boy. Our school was a new school then, started in 1970. And from then up to the time we graduated in 1970, in 1974, I was the head boy. So I was throughout the head boy in my secondary school. Yes, I was the first head boy. And at the university again, I was a chief for Social Club 2000. At that time, Club 2000 was the club. So it was the club. Everybody who was somebody, if you wanted to be a member of
That particular club.
That particular club.
Okay.
And I was the chief for 1 year.
Okay.
And all that was politics. After school years, started work. The kind of work I did not allow politicking. So we are always yes sir, and that's how we.
You once went off in politics.
Sorry.
When you got
so
employment.
we switched off politics.
Exactly.
And immediately after I retired in 2011, His Excellency, then the Governor of Kano State, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, invited me and gave me his special advisor on interior. And that was the beginning of my adult politics, real politics.
Interesting.
And that is what we are doing. And inshallah, up to the time we'll finally retire.
Interesting. Sir, please, can you tell us who is Engineer Dr. Engineer Senator Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso politically in terms of his contribution towards education?
Well, talking about such a colossal, such a big, such a huge, such a forward-looking, such an exemplary character, such a model, such a role model is difficult within a short period of time. However, since you have selected education, I think it makes the job a lot easier.
That's not all.
Well, that's the beginning.
Yes.
I don't think since Kano State was created, and instantly I was alive and I was an adult when Kano State was created. I don't think, apart from Audu Bako, who was the first governor of Kano State then, and perhaps Abubakar Rimi, who was the first civilian governor of Kano State, I don't think there's anybody you can compare Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso's achievements in the area of education.
Interesting.
There is no local government Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso did not touch in renovation of schools. There is no school in Kano State Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso did not renovate. And he took on the repairs of education head on. And anybody who came later and did something in that area, he copied from him. Now he started with the teachers themselves, and that is the foundation. You don't have a good teacher, you can't have a good student. So he started by asking all teachers that were not qualified that time. He did not sack them, unlike others. He did not sack anybody. He told them to go and upgrade their qualifications at the expense of government. He paid for the school fees. He got the admission. Those that were trainable, and they were all sent to colleges of education and so on, and some to universities, and came back and went back to their teaching. At that time, I don't have the figures, but there was a huge leap from where we were in WAEC and NECO to a position we have never been. Most of our pupils passed with flying colors at NECO and WAEC because of that repairs he did.
Unlike before, you come back to.
Now, if you are talking about school enrollment at that time went about 10 times fold. 10 times, because he introduced free education. Not only free, he was feeding the students. He was the first governor in Nigeria to feed students in primary schools.
That is government schools.
Government schools, yes, all government schools. Because that is why you have the huge number of enrollment. Now that feeding enticed so many parents to send their words to schools. They were fed, they were given uniforms, they were given textbooks, they were given all materials that they needed for learning. And the teachers, mind you, were retrained and came back and they were ready. So everything, and the classes were renovated. Desks and tables were provided. So education got a very huge lion's share of the government budget at that time.
That was then when Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso introduced model primary school. Instead of special primary school we had before, he created another chance for the best students to go to model schools. From there, they will go to unity schools or somewhere like in tertiary institutions.
Yes, you see, he created so many things. Even boarding primary schools were reintroduced. We used to have boarding primary schools. For girls, we had Shekara. For boys, we had Dambata, we had Gorozo, we had Rano. They're all boarding primary schools that time, but they're all phased out. But when he came back, he reintroduced boarding primary schools. I know in one of my Minjiro, there was a boarding primary school there. And so many boarding primary schools were reintroduced during his time. So there was no sector in education he did not touch.
When we talk about security, the country itself now is under threat. What can you say about Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso in terms of security when he was in office?
Well, you see, the first thing he did was to rehabilitate this Endaba. He rehabilitated them.
That is the touts.
These touts, after campaigns, after politics, after everything, he introduced security training school in
Kiru.
No, not Kiru. Geza, not Geza. Gabasawa.
Okay. Where
all these young men were packed and were sent to that school, and they were taught how to be good citizens providing security in institutions, government institutions, banks, so many places where security men were needed. Such graduates were sent there, and it was a very good start. Unfortunately, now before he came to power, there are so many animosities between Entaury in the city, Entaury from different camps, were fighting themselves and were killing themselves and so on. He reconciled them, made leadership from amongst them, and they all obeyed, and there was peace. So the area of security during his time was well handled, and it was miraculous, really, how things were taking shape. Unfortunately, all those things are not history.
Are not in place. Exactly. When we talk of agriculture during His Excellency Engineer Senator Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso's tenure in office, there are a lot of improvement. Can you shed more light on agriculture during Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso?
Yes, agriculture is very wide. During his time, he really made it as it is, as wide as it is. Started with poultry, started with fishery, started with actual land farming, land tilling, bought so many tractors, brought so many improved seedlings, varieties of seedlings, and gave a lot of incentives, gave a lot of free money for women to start animal fattening, free women for women to start fishery, to start fish farming, and so on. So the area of agriculture is one area that was very close to his heart. And during his time, food was in abundance. And one thing he did that was worthy of emulation was he did not allow farmers to suffer any loss. If you produce produce that are more than what the market needed, he had a way of not making the farmer to lose by augmenting the prices of such commodities.
The product.
Sometimes you just buy it, keep it. When the prices are going high, we bring them and flush the market with them, and the prices will crash. And that's how it should be. You see, any government that cannot provide food for its citizens, that government is not cheap food. I mean, not free, but cheap food that is affordable, because it is a basic necessity. Even the Maslow law of basic needs, you find food is there, shelter is there, health is there.
Exactly.
So those are basic necessities that all government must provide. Now he provided all of that because that was the basic responsibilities of government. Any government that cannot provide security for its people, that cannot provide shelter for its people, that cannot provide cheap food for its people, that cannot provide clothing for its people, that government, and education, that government should not be called a government anywhere in the world.
Exactly. Let's flash back in 60 seconds on education. During his tenure, His Excellency Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso created a lot of education institutions in Kano, the likes of Northwest,
Well,
KUT.
you see, he created so many institutions. State created so many secondary schools. There was the Jambaki, which is in my local government.
Yeah,
there was the Governor's College. There was the First Ladies. There was you have all these technical schools in all local governments. All the local governments had one technical school.
He created
And he
technical schools in every local government.
In every local
that's
government
making it
Kano State.
44.
44 local government. There were technical schools.
Okay.
There were Islamic. There was Islamic schools as well. Islamic, what do you call it?
Al-Majri school.
No, not Al-Majri. Well, the idea was to rehabilitate all the Al-Majris, so that they don't have to come to Kano. They don't have to come to the city to learn the Quran. So he created those schools in each of the local governments. Each of the local governments, there was a modern school where you combine Islamic education with Western education in all the local governments.
Interesting.
And apart from that, he was sending students to overseas where government paid, all their expenses, flight, feeding, school fees, and so on, in universities all over the world. And here in Nigeria, he was paying for students to go to all these classy universities that are private, the Al-Qalam, the Bells.
Apart from the government owned.
Apart from the government owned. So those other universities were also enjoying Kano State sponsorship.
Interesting. Which means Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwasiyya was the pioneer in terms of education, since he created 44 technical schools in Kano. That's no governor in Kano State did such improvement in terms of education.
Yeah, so no, there was none. Exactly. There was none. He created not only technical schools.
No, I'm talking about the lesser class.
No, you see, technical school, Islamic schools, and vocational schools,
including
technical
SAS.
vocational schools. That's school of Arabic and some studies.
Yes, exactly.
In each of the local governments. And there are also these tailoring institutes in all the local governments. I'm sure now some of those tailoring institutes are vandalized.
Exactly.
But there was no local government where he did not
touch.
He did not touch.
When we talk of transportation,
yes.
I think this is the second to the last question I'm going to talk ask you, sir. When we talk of transportation in Kano, during His Excellency Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwasiyya, what sort of improvement do we get or we have during his time as #1 citizen of Kano?
Yeah, he introduced a lot of transportation programs. The Kano line was rejuvenated. So many new vehicles were added to it. It was the fleet. There was the Amana taxi. There was this Amana taxi, luxury taxis, where he bought brand new Toyotas and gave them out to drivers on higher patches, no interest, cheaper. You almost have the price. Brand new. Gave it to them, and there were the other category of taxis
and buses
where they were painted with Amana. They are still, you can still see them flying the road.
Yes, Amana's logo.
At that time, they are all cars, and some of them brand new, and interstate going from Kano to all other states. The Kano line was, so transportation was, there was never it had it so good other than his time.
Interesting. Before I go into the few questions we have, I would like to ask you, why is Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwasiyya is the answer in 2023?
Well, see, one, he's lucky he came from the most popular zone in Nigeria, the Northwest. No president can win any election in Nigeria without Northwest or without even Kano. Kano had the highest number of votes, perhaps in Nigeria. And Northwest, had the largest number of voters in Nigeria. He's lucky he's from this zone. Two, his antecedents. I don't think there is anybody now living who can match his credentials when he was governor, when he was, in fact, when he started, when he was a member of the House of Representatives, when he was
Deputy Speaker,
when he was Deputy Speaker, when he was first-time governor, when he was second-time governor, when he was minister, when he was senator, and now a statesman. There is no where he did not touch when he was holding one key position or the other. So if you take that, he's one of the most qualified. Now, if you take knowledge, he's an accomplished engineer. Started as a water engineer here in Kano. After he retired, he joined politics, and he continued as a politician up to tomorrow. Recently, he was in Port Harcourt, invited by the governor there to commission so many projects. He was invited to Lagos for other things. He was invited to Oshun. He was invited to Ogun State. He was invited to so many other states because, the light is shining on him. So many people, are thinking that he is the answer in 2023. And I think if fairness is the name of the game in politics this time around, I think he's the most qualified to have the ticket.
Thank you very much for this wonderful interview, sir. Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network, K.A.N, is a political non-governmental organization that is creating awareness to Nigerians so as to understand who is Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso and what a Kwankwasiyya as a political ideology. Can you shed more light on the Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network, and what encouragement will you give to Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network as a political non-governmental organization?
As a non-governmental organization, I must commend you for this initiative where you sacrifice your time, you sacrifice your finances, you sacrifice your knowledge, you sacrifice a lot of things to make people understand what Kwankwasiyya stands for. Kwankwasiyya stands for service to humanity, service to especially you young men. That is the focus, because now you can see, because our young population is almost neglected, and that is why you have this insecurity. Now anywhere young people are not well taken care of, they are not occupied, now you are going to have a lot of problems. Now you have ready recruitment market for all sorts of things, because they are there, they have the energy, some of them have the knowledge, but they are not occupied. Now there is no steady electricity, so that they can be self-employed in maybe welding, maybe photography, maybe so many things that require electricity. Now they cannot go to farm because farming is very expensive these days. Even to get fertilizer is a problem. Much more seedlings, much more tractor, much more, so many things that you need to go into farming. Now in a country where the government knows what it's doing, that is one area that a lot of focus should have been given, a lot of attention should have been given. Farming, empower these young men. We have this dam in Wase here. That dam, if well taken care of, if well utilized, that dam can provide employment for hundreds of thousands of people in Ongogo, in Minjibur, in Gabasawa, in Gezawa, all those areas in phases. You can just do it in phases. Start providing channels, start providing irrigation facilities in phases. Phase 1 is this, phase 2 is this, phase 3 is this, and that one can provide so many employment for young men who are not doing anything, but little spending. little spending. And there are so many trades. All this tailoring institute, if they were functional now, you don't need to import anything. All these children wears, all these male wears, all these women, everything you need in terms of clothing would have been produced here. But unfortunately, so much money was spent, millions and millions of naira was spent to establish these tailoring institutes. Unfortunately, they're all closed down. We had this independent power project that was started by KWANKWASO. It was almost completed. I'm sure it was 60-80% completed. And when he was leaving office, he left money in hard currency in a bank so that this project should be completed. Unfortunately, nobody knows where the money went into, and that project is still there. Now, if you have to complete that job now, if you have to complete that project now, the cost would have gone 2, 3, 4 times.
Exactly.
Because of inflation, because of the value of the naira, because of so many things. Now, if that power project were completed, the question of power would have been solved. Unfortunately, it was abandoned. Now, if you go to our schools, it's only in Kano State, or perhaps it's one of those states where you find 100 or even 150, sometimes 300 students, 300 pupils in one classroom, and that classroom is not even
as big as
not
20.
even tiled. It is on the bare floor. Pupils sit down on bare floor. If you go the blackboard, you cannot write on that blackboard
because it's cracked.
No more blackboard because of scratches. No chalk, no book, no books, no nothing. Even BBC covered this one, so we refer you to the BBC reports on education in Kano.
No, it's true, sir. What you're saying.
Visit those videos and you will see what we are saying. And there are no improvements. There are no improvements. If you go to secondary schools, you find that those schools are in pity situations. The toilets are not functional. The electricity is not there. The beds, the student hostels, where you have boarding schools.
The insecurity.
Insecurity everywhere, and so on. Kano is just lucky that nothing has happened. Tragic. But we need a lot of improvements, and I think only KWANKWASiyya, because of they have the experience and they have done it before. Exactly. So I think for now we have only KWANKWASiyya that
can do such.
Can
exactly, sir. Senator Engineer Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso is focusing on unity when he was in office in Kano, and now his focus is not Kano only. He is focusing on the country at large. Can you shed more light on unity in terms of Senator Engineer Rabi Musa Kwankwaso's movement towards the achievement of one Nigeria?
Yes, that's why you see him today in Port Harcourt, tomorrow in Lagos, the other day in Ondo State, and so on. And one example you would see was when he lost his father. You see the kind of people that trooped into Kano to condole with him. It was Nigeria, and that speaks volume of him. If you are not in good terms with those people may not have been there. So he is the center. He is the center of gravity now. He is the center of political gravity now in Kano, in Nigeria. So wherever he is, you see people gravitating towards him. And he's a nationalist. He's a nationalist, but that does not mean to say that he does not know from where he comes from. Everybody knows where he comes from. Exactly. And if you are president, you are first of all for your constituency, and then you are for the entire country. And that was the example. But the way it should be is, once you are elected president, you are president for Nigerians. whether you are from APC, whether you are from PDP, whether you're from PRP, whether you're from any party. The president is the president of Nigerians, the president for Nigerians. Whether you're Yoruba, you are Igbo, you are Hausa, you are Fulani, you are
whatever you be.
You are Chekiri, you are Birom, you are whatever you are.
Yes.
The Nigeria's president is your president, and it should be fair to everybody. Unfortunately,
we don't have such now.
It is not the case this time around. Some people have hijacked the presidency, and he is their own president. We are simply onlookers.
So, during and after His Excellency's tenure in office, he did so many things in terms of empowerment and employment. Can you say something about empowerment?
Whole area of governance. Where will you start? Are you going to talk about married women who are given free money to start fattening animals, to start poultry, to start fishing, to start sewing, to start akara, all these akara, all these things that women do to generate little income? That time, Kwankwaso's time, was the time for that. Or are you talking about the men who are given free money to farm, to free seedlings, free farm implements, sometimes free fertilizer? Or are you talking about fishing, the money they were given to go and start fisheries? Or are you talking about the people who are on Zaria Road, this Tiga Junction, where people are selling fish and so on, where you are given, the entire place was renovated, electricity was provided? Or are you talking about the butchers who are given, who had all these markets that are renovated?
That is the abattoir.
The abattoirs were renovated. You know, like they were given implements, they were given training. Or are you taking even the barbers, local barbers, the Wanzami? There is no sector that Kwankwaso did not touch in empowerment. So it was a model that should have been studied and well documented, so that such a model should be implemented in other states, because it was a model. Now, unfortunately for us in this country, we don't document a lot of things. But what Kwankwaso did when he was a governor of Kano State should have been documented, well documented, and interviews should have been conducted with him. How did you do this? How did you do this? So that all these things are well documented, and then you make it available to other governors in other states, so that at least they can adopt or adapt. You know, they can see it and maybe put it to suit their own environment. They don't have to copy, everything 100%, no. But they can just see it. That will remind them, so that they can start something that is in agreement with their own local environment. But they need something like that. If you go to Kaduna, for instance, most of what the governor in Kaduna is doing was what was done in Kano. When he was sacking teachers in schools and employing others in Kano, then we said no, that was before him. In Kano, we were said all those teachers that were not qualified should go and get retrained. So the government was paying for their training, so that they go and come back.
Unlike the other states.
Unlike the others. So are you talking about urban development and rural development? Most of what is being done in Kaduna today was what was done in Kano when Rabi Kwankwaso was here. Are you talking the road rehabilitation, which is taking place now in Kaduna? It was done when Kwankwaso was here.
The health sector.
Are you talking about rural development when that is taking place in Kaduna? Now, when Kwankwaso was here, they were done. Are you talking about industrialization. When Kwankwaso was here, he started electricity so that our factories, our industries, would have come back. Now, all those investors are now running to Kaduna. You have lots of incentives, and that's how it should be. You have tax holidays, you have land given to you, you have electricity subsidized, you have so many things. Now, once you are able to establish a factory or an industry in a particular place, now that industry is going to employ a lot of your youth, and that alone is enough for you, so that at least you provide job for this teeming young men who are roaming the street doing nothing and causing a lot of problems.
Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network, better known as K.A.N, is doing a lot of activities on the ground for Engineer Senator Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, one of which is this great interview. What can you say about Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network, K.A.N, in person?
Well, I would say more grace to the elbows. I would say may God Almighty pay them back abundantly, and I think they are doing a very good work. They're doing a great job, and this is the voluntary thing. So, and I really would want others to emulate what Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network is doing, so that we have people who are selfless, who are looking at the future, and who are bringing Nigeria together, because I can see you are not just from one state, you are from all over the country. And in effect, you are unifying the country as well, because I'm sure the pastor there, who is not from Kano, came to Kano and he's seen Kano. So all the negative stories he's been hearing
about
Kano where he is, he will come to Kano and he will be his own judge.
Exactly.
To see whether what he hears. And perhaps you too, you go to
his place.
You go to his place and see those things. So that is how the country, can easily be unified, through voluntary organizations like yours. I think it's commendable, and you should continue. Should try and sacrifice more, so that you cover the entire nation. Select good people to interview, not necessarily Kwankwasiyya people. No, you should be able to interview people from the other parties, because so that you get objectivity, so that you're objective. Anybody who you interview, who is from this place or who is from any other place, will tell you the truth. If he's not telling the truth, you will see it from his eyes that he's telling lies, and nobody will tell lies. So try and get balanced stories.
Exactly, sir.
So that you interview others from the other parties or from the other association and organizations, so that you get balanced stories, so that people will not think that we are just praising our own man. We're just telling the truth. That
is one great idea from you, sir, and we really appreciate it. And a final question from this great interview to you, sir, is about the health sector. During his time in office, and even when he is not now in office, he created Kwankwasiyya
Hospital,
Laifi Ajari, and Kwankwasiyya Hospital, and he even rejuvenated one of the great hospitals in Kano, popularly known as Murtala's Muhammad Specialist Hospital. During his time, there is a free delivery for pregnant women, and free medicine, free hospital card, and whatever you might think of. Even the theater, sometimes I even witnessed such. Can you tell me something about the health sector during His Excellency Senator Engineer Dr. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso?
There is no hospital. The governor then did not renovate. If you take the remote hospital like the one we have in my town, the Bela Hospital. That hospital, when KWANKWASO was here, there was generator, there was power, there was electricity 24/7. The beds were state of the art. The doctors were 24/7 available. Food was available to patients and so on. So everything that was needed in a hospital was there in that remote hospital in Bela. It's about 30 minutes from here. But now it will take you almost 3 hours, at least 2 hours from here to go to Bela. A distance of just about 15 kilometers or maximum 20 kilometers from here, from this point, because the road is terrible. You cannot fly that road. You cannot go on that road on 15 kilometers per hour. You can't. So if you bring somebody who is sick from that hospital, perhaps say to Murtala Special Hospital, that person may end up dying because there is no road. There is simply no road. And if there is no NEPA, mosquito alone is enough to send you packing from that hospital, or to give you the disease that you will not go to hospital with.
That's too bad.
If you go there, there is nothing that is working. The place is smelling. There is nothing. Unfortunately, that is functional.
That is meaning that there is no human resources in those hospitals.
No, nothing is being put there. Maybe the doctors are paid. Maybe that's the only thing. But there is no electricity. I was there many times. There was no electricity when there is no NEPA. The road, immediately after Rangaza, immediately after Rangaza, the road, after the 5-kilometer road that KWANKWASO started, immediately after that, then there is no road.
There's no.
You're on your own. Before you can go to that hospital on that road, it will take you almost 2 hours.
Too bad.
2 hours. That is if you are lucky to have a very good vehicle. Otherwise, the vehicle will end up,
spoiled.
Will end up damaged on the road, stopped on the road. When it is raining season, forget it. Don't even attempt going there, because you can't. You just cannot go there when it rains or it's raining, because you don't know where you are going. You don't know the pothole. You don't know the ditch. You don't know the swimming pool you are putting your car into. So that is just one area, the health sector. If you take the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital that time, even though it was a teaching hospital that is under Bahrain University, KWANKWASO injected so much money there, to assist the university, the dental, so many helps were given to that. All the hospitals in the zone, in the 3 zones in Kano were rehabilitated. Rano, Nambata, in Gwarzo, all those hospitals were rehabilitated and they became really functional, and so on. So many clinics were introduced and so on. So, and doctors, nurses, if you see the number of young men who were sent to Sudan and Egypt
under
KWANKWASIYYA's sponsorship to learn nursing and medicine, is enormous. Now, when those students came back here to Kano, unfortunately, nobody was even willing to employ them. People who are highly needed, who are in high demand, were trained free of charge. They came back here. Unfortunately, I think quite a number of them are still there unemployed, not utilized.
Thank you very much for your time. Due to the time factors, we are going to round up the interview from now. Under any circumstances, if God warrants, we'll come back to continue from where we stopped. On behalf of the leadership of Comrade Muhammad Awal, who is the chairman and national president of the Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network, K.A.N, and his executive members here, I remain loyal to you, sir. My name is Muhammad Bashir Anwar Fagi. thanking you for this wonderful interview.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and we hope we have the House of Ashin anytime soon. Thank you very much.
Sabona kata fariyar kungiya ne na miko Kwankwasiyya Awareness Network kun ji sako Kwankwasiyya kan da kasanmu ita ce ta leko a ƙarƙashin shugabancin Kwamar da Awwal Muhammad tafiyar Kwankwasiyya ba za mu ki da koya ba